everybody, this is a video on a Roth IRA versus a traditional IRA. This has been a point of interest for me as of late, as I've had many friends and discussions about this and disagreements about this. So I figured, why not actually do some math on it and see who might be right. So the idea is, with an IRA, you have basically this bucket that you can put money into. You can do anything with the money really within it, but it's meant for retirement, and there's a couple stipulations with that. With a traditional IRA, you get to put money into it pre-tax. So you don't pay any tax on it. It goes into this bucket. Any interest, any dividends, any return that you get for that money is tax-free. And at the end, when you pull it out for retirement, you are taxed. So you pay no taxes until the end. At the end, you're hoping that this has grown in value and you pay that tax on a much larger value than when you started. With a Roth IRA, similar idea. You get this bucket to put money in it, namely for retirement, but you pay tax immediately up front, and whatever your tax rate is. And then after that, any returns, any interest, any dividends, anything like that, it's tax-free, and you never pay tax on it again. So when you pull it out in retirement, tax-free. You're good to go. So the argument is it's better to not pay tax at the end, because you'll have larger money, likely a higher tax bracket, because you'll be in your retirement and you're hoping that you've been making a lot of money and all that. And so your tax responsibility would be quite high. So it's nice to not have to owe that. The other side of it for the traditional IRA is you get money now. You get basically money back on your taxes, and it's kind of, you can think of it as like an immediate return on your money going into it, and you put it right back in, and it grows substantially because of that, and it compounds on that amount. But then at the end, you owe for all those, the tax at the end, right? So I was on the side that I like traditional IRAs because I like my money now. I don't know what the future holds, and basically you have the two birds in the hand is worth, or excuse me, one bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, right? I'd rather have it now than later, since you don't really know what'll happen. The other argument, it was simply that your tax load will be much less when you need it. So I went ahead and figured, why not actually do some math on this, figure out who might be right here. So I made some assumptions, and we're going to start with $10,000. This is our starting principle. You got some money to put away, $10,000, and you're going to assume that every year you're going to get back about 7% on your money. I think the return is fairly reasonable. I don't think it's overly high. I don't think it's too low. I think it's something that is obtainable for the foreseeable future. Some may argue that you could do much better. I'm going to go conservatively, let's say 7. So we have our initial tax rates. With our traditional tax, we pay $0. Our traditional IRA is not taxed upfront; it's tax-free upfront. So we add $0. For the Roth, we're going to assume that you pay about 24% on taxes. Again, just kind of threw it in the middle there, and we're assuming that you make about $100,000 salary. So you may be in a different state, a different, whatever it is. Let's assume it's 24% here. And then we have to guess what the future holds, and that's always a big guess. So we have a low tax guess, and we have a high tax guess. This is so we can kind of adjust and play with it. So assuming that the low tax rate in the future will be the same that it is today, unchanged. That will be the low tax in this case. The high tax, we're going to assume that it actually goes up, and it goes up about double. So it goes from 24% to 50%. And it could go much higher than that. I don't know. The future holds what it holds. So the next, so that's all with traditional, because you're going to be paying taxes when you withdraw it at the end with traditional IRA. For the Roth IRA, you're paying $0 in future tax. So that's set to 0. You don't actually use this down below, but it's there so you can see it, so you can compare it. We're also going to assume that you're investing for about 30 years, okay, before retirement. So you start about age 30 or so, or whenever, and you're going to age 60. Feel free to adjust that as well. And then we're also assuming that every year you put in $6,000. So you have $6,000 to put in, and that's the amount that's going to go in. That is the max, I believe, for the IRA. So we're maxing it out every year. N_NT stands for annual so annual amount in for the traditional, and annual amount in for the Roth. So this is how much money you're putting in. So for the traditional, for every dollar put in, you get $1 in your IRA. So it's $6,000. For the Roth IRA, for every dollar put in, you're only getting a fraction of that because you're getting taxed. So we have the $6,000 multiplied by 1 minus the tax rate. So it's going to be 76 in this case, right? So 6,000 times 76. Then we need to actually put it into a compound interest formula. And it's not just a standard compound interest formula. It's compound interest plus contributions. So I grabbed this formula right here, and you can see it right there. You basically have the principal plus this A over D, A being the amount put in, divided by a discount rate, multiplied by the interest here, the compound interest here, and then subtracted by the amount put in divided by the discount rate. So I think I did this correctly, but you can definitely look through it and make sure I didn't make a mistake there. But I think I did it correctly. What that's going to say is basically we're making this amount per year, and we're adding to it every year, and this is the amount we're going to get out for traditional IRA. But that's not quite true, because then we have to actually get it taxed. So you're going to have 1 minus the tax rate. Then you're going to multiply that value times 1 minus the tax rate. And here I have it set to low tax. I'm going to run it again, and we'll try the high tax just to see the difference. Then I'm going to do the same for the annual output of the Roth. The nice thing about that is not taxed here. So we just have one line right here, right? And then I'm going to print out traditional equals this amount, Roth equals this amount. So let's go ahead and run it and see how we do. Again, this is for the low tax rate, 24%. Go ahead and run it. And for traditional, we get $518,746. That's $10,000 put in, $6,000 every year. We pay a tax at the end, and there we are. For the Roth, we had $500,037.15. So if we do the difference, we get annual output T minus annual output R. When we run that, it is $18,269. Okay, so that is at the low tax rate. If you put your money into a Roth for the same amount of dollar contribution, $6,000, you're putting less per year into the Roth, but it equates to the same dollar amount of the dollar stress put in every year. You're going to come out with almost $20,000 more. Okay. If we do the high tax instead of the low tax, again, we've doubled the tax rate now. I think this will make quite an impact. Now, the traditional has dropped all the way down to $341,000, and the Roth hasn't changed. So the difference becomes almost $200,000 if taxes get bumped up to 50%. So for me, I'm looking at this. I don't think I made any mistakes. Please let me know. I've been pushing the traditional IRA. I want my money now, and I want a return immediately so I can put it back in, and it can compound based on that, and everything's wonderful and good. But $200,000 is pretty different. In fact, that's almost twice as much money as I had in the traditional. So I think I'm convinced. I think I'm convinced to go over to a Roth. Anyway, I hope this was interesting to you. To me, it's convincing. And again, if I made a mistake, please let me know and I'll fix it. But I don't think I did. And Roth seems to come out on top.